The next thing is renewal. So he takes what has never existed and he brings it into being. That's what regeneration is. But renewal is about taking what he has regenerated and continually making it new. Y'all need to pray for me because I recognize I love BMWs. Love them. It's a thing, all right? I just love them. And I work on them. And it's funny because I enjoy them so much, but when I get into a different type of car, BMWs are just very different, okay? So when I'm under the hood of another engine, I have no idea what I'm looking at because it's just so different, right? But I love BMWs. Now, here's the thing about BMW. You got to care for these things all the time. Man, they are like infants. They need care 24/7. Maybe that's why I don't know. But anyway, if you're going to keep those things in mint condition, you are going to constantly be renewing them. You're going to be washing them, taking care of them, swapping out parts, keeping them fresh. That's what renewing is. That's what Jesus does for us. He renews us. He keeps us fresh. He starts something when we say yes to him. 1 Corinthians 15 kind of gives us this incredible picture of what he starts in us. And the blind man knows. The blind man has had his eyes restored. He knows about regeneration. And now that he's with Jesus, the renewal process is starting. God is making him new. He's making us clean. And this is the process that a lot of us don't like, but it's very much a part of salvation because now Jesus is going to start making you new and dealing with all that other stuff that doesn't look like him. This is kind of like sanctification process, right? So what happens is you start hanging out with Jesus and notice that Jesus doesn't use the same language you use. I always laugh when people find out that I'm a pastor because their language changes. And sometimes I withhold the information, right? And then they find out later and they're mad at me. I didn't know you were a pastor. I wouldn't have been saying all that stuff. That's interesting. Maybe you shouldn't be saying this. Anyway, all right, different sermon. Okay, so it's amazing. You hang out with Jesus, you notice he doesn't talk the same as we do. So your mouth has to start changing. You start hanging out with Jesus, you know that he doesn't do the same things that we always do. And so part of this renewal process, and that's what's interesting. Did you know that the word worship means to emulate? So you're taking on traits. That's what worship is in its usage here. That's interesting, right? Because you remember when the devil told Jesus to worship him? There's something there. Anyway, okay. So renewing is about you becoming like the one who saved you. And that means that you're going to have to realize that there's some things that don't belong in your life. And the Holy Spirit will let you know. And I know you're going to wrestle. I wrestle. Sometimes I'm like, no, Holy Spirit, let me keep that thing. And he's like, no, you don't need that thing. Yes, I do. And he says, no, you don't. Yes, I do. Let me tell you something. When you wrestle with Jesus, he always wins. Always wins. Every time. Listen, I've been in martial arts for over 20 years. Jesus always wins.